Welcome back as we cross the Pacific from Hawaii to Vancouver. And so begin the second part of our trip to Alaska. It's early morning as our Boeing 767 approaches Sea Island, the Vancouver International Airport Terminal, as we prepare for landing. Vancouver Airport has expanded significantly since we arrived some 35 years or so ago. As the lights on the Grouse Mountain ski run in the distance begin to bring back memories. And as we head north towards the city down the tree-lined avenue of Granville Street, the pictures begin to return. The Burrard Street Bridge fronts the west end of Vancouver, where we'd spent some 3.5 years of our life. And the mighty Lionsgate Bridge that we had crossed many a time looms into view, that joins the north and south side of Vancouver. A beautiful bridge. What was Vancouver Pier when we arrived some 35 years ago on the Oriana is now Vancouver Place. Very upmarket. And here we are in Davey Street. Apartment 1902. 1150 Jervis Street, on the southeast corner of Columbia Place, was where we spent approximately 3.5 years of our life, overlooking beautiful English Bay. And the trolley buses, looking much smarter these days, but still running up and down Davey Street. As the sun climbs and breaks the early haze, we enter Stanley Park, a beautiful area of western Vancouver that overlooks English Bay, as we begin a walk of remembrance all the way around Stanley Park that takes us about an hour and a half. It follows the park all the way around the outside of it, and you can turn off at any time and cross through different tracks that enter the park. Beautiful views on a day like this. The Grouse Mountain. And as we cross under the bridge, you can see the sleeping lady in the mountain fall. And if you look up, you can see the counterlever on the left-hand side of the bridge that was put there for the extra lane of traffic. As we pass out of the park, past the old sulphur works, still there, doing business, we move on to catch up with John and Marg Garrett. John and Marg and daughter Tracy live about 30 kilometres east of Vancouver, up the mighty Fraser Valley. It's a beautiful area. And this is their house in Langley. John's Canadian and Marg's a Kiwi. They met in Christchurch back in the 1974 Commonwealth Games and spent time living in Christchurch before moving back to Canada in Vancouver, and have been there ever since. We stayed with Marg and John overnight, only to wake in the morning to a surprise. Marg had arranged for a local pilot friend, Tom, to take us for a fly up the valley. Would you believe it? The girls wanted to go shopping. So say hello to my new friend Tom as he sets his flight plan and checks the weather. We are going to go up the Fraser Valley in this little Beechcraft Musketeer. Tom tells me he's planned to fly, depending on weather, from Langley down to White Rock, then back up the valley all the way to Chilliwack, where we'll stop for a pie, and then back down the Fraser River to Langley. I'll let you into a secret. Of all the years I've known John, it's very rare I've captured him on film. This is a little victory. I've yet to get him to turn around. As Tom gets his clearance to taxi for Whiskey Hotel Golf, I can't believe it. Never imagined I'd be able to fly the valley today. It's a small Cessna, looks like. Comes into land. We're at the holding point. And it's not long before we're in the air, heading west towards White Rock on the American-Canadian border. Keith and Carrie Gay used to live in White Rock, down on Marine Parade, out on the point that we're heading towards. And there we are, just off our nose, where Keith and Carrie Gay lived, and their son Sam. As we circle back, we cross the Peace Arch, which marks the Canadian-American border between Washington State and British Columbia. And then it's turn left, head east, up the valley. The weather's closed in a bit, so we follow the line of the Vedder Mountains up to just off our wingtip. You can see Cultus Lake, a popular spot that we used to visit when young. We pass Ryder Lake and Lookout Ridge, turn on to finals to land at Chilliwack. Now, as a flyer, as I have been, you always have a purpose. And in this instance, the purpose was, I fly for pie. And so we met Barbara and John Mitchell and their airport cafe and coffee shop. And look at that list. What scrumptious pies they were. With a bit more weight on board, we lift off and now head west again, back along the Vancouver Hope Highway as we head back towards Langley. Canadian Highway number 1 takes you from Victoria, which is in British Columbia on the west coast on Vancouver Island, all the way across British Columbia and all the provinces through to probably Nova Scotia in the west, in the east. As we turn across the Fraser River, we see a stanchion there being built for another lower crossing of the Fraser River. And as we come onto base leg. We finally turn onto final as Tom lines us up to land back at Langley Airport. Now if you look to the left of the runway as we're coming down, you see the VASI system of lights just on the left of the runway there. They tell you whether you're high or low. At the moment we're all red, which to me says we're slightly low. As we cross the highway and come down to land.
Still didn't notice. I was looking through the viewfinder. I'll check it out later. Really nice little build around here.
It's a Lake Buccaneer. Great for this area. And we must now say farewell to our Beechcraft Musketeer as Tom fills out the log. And thank you very much, Tom. It's been a great experience and one unexpected. And of course, thank you, Marg. Very much appreciated. As Marg looks over the dragon boats that she crews in as coxswain these days. Port Langley, we spent the afternoon there looking around this old area of Fort Langley from the days of fur trade. But we had to move on across the Port Mahon Bridge and back into Vancouver, alongside the SkyTrain that feeds the monorail into Vancouver. And finally the YWCA, where we were to stay the night before beginning preparation for the next part of our journey. We rise, being lucky to have a sleep in after arriving home around 2 a.m. after celebrating Pete Rudder's 60th birthday. But time was short. We had to board a flight to Prince Rupert. Well, thank you, Vancouver. It was short, but good to see you again. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks. But first, we're off to explore Alaska. Our departure point is Vancouver Airport's Southern Terminal.
Beach 1900. Extend the waiting. And do a smile.
To save time, rather than take the ferries from Vancouver to Prince Rupert, we decided to fly. I think it cost us about $500 all up, and took about an hour and a half, 2 hours to fly the length of the island.
Now getting ready to board the 4 beer HA, the Bombardier, off to Prince Rupert.
Exit. The aircraft is also equipped with an emergency lighting system that includes floor-level lights that will clearly illuminate a path to the exit should evacuation be necessary. Please observe the no smoking and seatbelt signs at all times during flight. And finally, if you could just take a quick moment to familiarize yourself with our cabin safety features card. It's located in the seat pocket ahead of you. Thanks for your attention and enjoy your flight.
The current weather in Prince Rupert right now is really strong winds to the south.
We virtually fly the straits between Vancouver Island and the mainland, and it wasn't till I flew this run that I realised how mountainous it was actually up on the north end of Vancouver Island, as you can see below. Leave Vancouver Island at Port Hardy and head north into the open sea following the ferry lines. As we continue up to the Queen Charlotte's Islands on our left, and on our right the mainland, all the way up to Prince Rupert. Cross over the small islands that surround Prince Rupert, we find that we're actually landing on an island, not downtown Prince Rupert itself. And so we have to get a small local ferry to take us across to the mainland as such. At last we touch down to be met by the ferry bus, where we all board, put our bags on and head into town. You can see Jenny still has a rose in her pocket, given to by the attendants, flight attendants. There's quite a big tide, 30 foot I think in this area.
In the event of an emergency, please proceed to the nearest life jacket box, where a crew member will assist you. If you have any questions regarding safety, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you.
The ferry takes about 20 minutes to cross the strait, and at last, in the distance, we can see Prince Rupert emerging. Long before explorers arrived, the northwest coast was one of the most densely populated areas of North America. These first people bring rich traditions, including unique art and architecture that are still part of the daily lives. Prince Rupert lies in the heart of the traditional territory of the Tsimshian First Nation. This territory is bordered by the traditional lands of the Gitsang, Nisga'a, Haida and Halitsiaq people, many of whom today make their home in Prince Rupert, as well as their traditional communities along the coast. Many of the pioneering buildings from Prince Rupert's early days as a railroad town form the core of Prince Rupert's historic downtown shopping district. Grand or humble, many of these buildings date right back to the beginning of the city. Some Second Avenue storefronts are virtually unchanged from when they were built around 1911. They have seen the boom days of railroad construction and the growth of a thriving fishing community in the early years of the 20th century.
course, there's the usual conglomeration of fishing boats. He's probably worked some pretty rough water up the coast here at times, especially when they're out on the islands. We'll tip the whole sail. Cope with that. Cruise the sounds here. Can't see a price. And there's our girl coming to say, get ready for us. We're just about ready to board.
And so we say farewell to the Haida Indian of British Columbia as we move on to greet the Alaskan Indian, the Tlingit, who we will see in part 3 of this story.